Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And why don't you just tell me your name and what do you do?
My name is Jaqueline Habersham. I currently serve as the Executive Director of the Texas Commission on Judicial Conduct.
And what do you do? What does that mean? What do you do?
Well, the Commission on Judicial Conduct is an independent state agency, and what we do is we investigate allegations of judicial misconduct and disability against state judges here in the state of Texas.
So just judges, not the lawyers?
Not the lawyers. That is the State Bar of Texas.
Ah, okay. So the judges are all scared of you, huh?
I have some friends and I have some enemies.
I bet. So where were you born and raised?
I was born in Augusta, Georgia. I was raised some of everywhere. My dad was in the military, the Air Force. Most of my formative years I spent in Georgia and in Florida. So I kind of claim Georgia and Florida both as the places that I'm from.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school at Florida A&M University in Texas. I'm sorry, in Tallahassee, and I got my bachelor's degree in political science and public administration, and then I went to law school at Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern.
How did you get into law?
I decided years ago when I was a child that I wanted to either be a lawyer or I wanted to be a flight attendant. And the first time I rode on a plane and you know, being in the turbulence, I thought, this is not for me. So once I started researching law a little bit more in high school and in college, I decided I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to be a voice for African Americans. I was noticing, of course, that African Americans, you know, it's disproportionately negative towards African Americans, and I wanted to be helpful not only to my people, but to the community as a whole, and that's how I got started with law.
What do you like most about your job?
What I like most about my current job is that just when you think a judge cannot possibly do wrong or do something, it never ceases to amaze me, the things that people do. I like the fact that in this position, I'm able to not only you know, discipline judges who have done things where they need to be appropriately disciplined, but also to educate judges, because as a part of my job, I do ethical training for judges as well. And I've spoken both on the state level and the national level. So I like that, but I also like the fact that in this particular position, I have to learn a little bit of everything in every area of law, all across the gamut, because when the cases are filed in this office, it may be on a probate judge or it may involve you know, a criminal case. So I have to have some type of working knowledge in many areas of the law, and I like that.
What advice would you give someone who's looking to go into law?
Well, first of all, you know, law school first is it's hard. You need to have 100% dedication to that, because if you're not dedicated to that, you could slip through the cracks. But I think that it is a very interesting area to go into. If a person wants to go to law school, I think that they need to also do their research and what it is the area that they like, and then try to hone their skills in that particular instance as well.
No worries.
People get my number and the what is it, the Texas Commission on something else, the oil and gas people mixed up, and they call my number all the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Asking me about oil and gas, and I'm like, you transport us the numbers. So
Yeah, wrong number. Gosh. Um,
sorry.
you were talking about advice on someone getting into law.
Yes, I was saying that, if someone wants to go to law school and they're nearing the end, they probably should look at the areas of law that they're really, really interested in and try to hone their skills while they're in law school with respect to that particular area. Also, I would, seek out summer internships with law firms or private lawyers or the courts, because that will definitely help, especially when you're coming out of law school. And because the state is so saturated with lawyers, you want to be able to have that connection with a lawyer or a law firm that you clerked for, and you had a summer internship with, to provide you with either a job when you get out or some leads to some other jobs that you can get when you get out of school.
Describe a moment or an experience that changed the way you thought about life.
I always go back to the deaths of my parents. Both of my parents died in 2018, within 6 months of each other. And at that moment, it just gave me an opportunity to just kind of step back and reflect. It's always about working, and going. And I came to the realization that I needed to take time for myself, to enjoy my company, to enjoy the company of my friends and other family, to kind of be present in the moment, if you will, but always be kind to yourself and be in the moment when you're doing things, because, life is short. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So you want to make those mental memories, but you've got to slow down and take some time for yourself and have that work-life balance.
When did you come to Austin?
I came to Austin, I remember this well, May 31st of 2001. I got the job here at this agency. I've been here for 20 years now. I've been in Austin for 20 years now. And I drove here in my car with my clothes and remember the 19-inch TV? And that is all I had. And now I have a house full of furniture, which I wish I could just give away. But that is when I moved to Austin.
How would you describe Austin?
Austin it's a nice place. I would say it's kind of lacking in diversity. I found that unfortunately, when African Americans do move here, they don't stay here very long. It's kind of a transitional thing. And I think that the city doesn't really offer a whole lot for African Americans, say, like the things that you would get in Dallas or the Houstons, right? And so, but it's a nice place for the younger demographic, if you will, to raise a family, to work and get your career off the ground. I think that, again, with the diversity issue, it's likely someplace that I don't know that, older African Americans would really enjoy. But it's a pretty city. It's a fast growing city. But I think that we need to do a little bit more with the issue of the diversity.
Describe your experience of being a Black female lawyer.
Well, when I was a trial attorney, I was a trial attorney for the first 8 years of being licensed, and it was kind of rough. I was representing clients in family law, personal injury, and that was fine. The criminal side was a little tough. I recall moments going to the courthouse to either meet my criminal defendants or seek those court appointed that most baby lawyers try to get. And I would be before the bar. And so the bar is that area that separates the general public from where the attorneys and the prosecutors and the judge and all of those people are. And I remember vividly a Caucasian bailiff coming up to me and telling me that I had to go sit in the back. And I just kind of looked at him and I said, why do I have to sit in the back? And he said, because this area is reserved for attorneys. And I, it stunned me for a minute because I was not expecting that. And I said, well, sir, I am an attorney. And he kind of challenged me a little further. He said, well, do you have a bar card? And luckily at that time, I did carry my bar card. And so I showed him my bar card along with my picture ID. He didn't apologize. He just said, okay, well, okay. And so, it was hard. And this, at this time, when I first started practicing law, was in Houston, Harris County. And you would think because it's a little bit more diverse there, that, that type of thing wouldn't happen, because there were African-American lawyers, going to and fro every day. But in this particular court on that particular day, it shocked me. And I do also recall it was a little bit harder for me to receive those court-appointed cases because I was mostly the only African-American female that would be sitting there in court that morning trying to get that appointment. And all of my Caucasian counterparts will receive, 2 or 3, and I will leave out at the mid-morning because they've given out everything they've given out, and apparently there's nothing for me. So it's hard, and many times when you're up against a Caucasian lawyer, they think that you are less than, and that you're not as educated as they are, that you don't have the skills that they are. But one particular case at this particular agency, I proved a big law firm quite wrong. So I'm very proud of that.
How do you give back to the community?
I give back to the community by, of course, community service that I do. I do that with my sorority. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I also I do my own community service as well. I also serve as a volunteer for the Center for Child Protection. And I also serve as a volunteer, of course, during the Christmas season every year with Coats for Kids. And I also serve as a volunteer with the Austin Cocker Spaniel Rescue.
You're kidding? Oh my God. We had a Cocker Spaniel. It's my favorite dog. Oh my God. Do you have Cocker Spaniels?
I do. I have Cocker Spaniels, yeah.
Oh my God. We have one who's chocolate. It's so pretty.
I love the chocolate ones.
Oh, he's like a brown, really dark brown. Oh, my little brownie. But he had a t-shirt. He's such a sweetheart. And we got it because we moved from Houston to Austin, and my son, the only way, because of the military, we moved so much. And I was like, okay, if you don't, and he just did not want to move from Houston because he was like, Mom, you said this is going to be our last time we move. And I was like, I thought it was because, I thought I was going to retire there. I had a great assignment at Prairie View teaching ROTC. So I was like, it's great, but they offered me a command position here in Austin. And so it's like, and I'd get promoted to lieutenant colonel, so I could retire as a lieutenant colonel. I'm like, dude, so I said, we'll get a puppy if you don't complain and if everything's good. So bet. So we got a little chocolate colored Cocker Spaniel. He's so cute. And oh my God, we had Brownie for what? Gosh, about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I had 2 black ones. Yeah.
My sorority sister who I hang out with a lot, she got one, a black one. And so she sends me pictures in a Facebook group, and I'm like, I'm going to kill you. Cause we got another dog, but she's a rescue, and she's a Airedale Terrier. So when we saw her, online, she looked like, a terrier. Terriers are small, right? We went to see her. She's big. She's the biggest of the terriers. And so she's 54 pounds. And so we
Oh
get
my
there.
gosh.
Exactly. And so, you know, a Cocker Spaniel is like this. And then
Yes.
she's, you know, but, you know, she's such a good dog. But yeah, so, but yeah. So yeah, I'm trying not to get another dog. So trying so.
I can't say that I won't. I mean, I foster, I'm one of the foster moms because we don't have a, actual shelter for the cocker, the rescue.
Yeah.
So it depends on volunteers to, keep the dogs. And so right now I currently have 4 dogs in my house, 2 of which are not a cockers. We take those in sometimes if they're
Really?
surrendered. Yeah, if people surrender them, say with a cocker, we're not going to
Oh,
say, we'll take the cocker and that
sure.
dog has to go
Yeah.
somewhere. We'll take the dog.
Yeah.
So I have 2 not cockers, one, well, no, 3 not cockers because one is a poodle, one we found out is a papillon, and another one is just a mix of something, and then I have one cocker.
Oh,
One
gosh.
cocker, yeah.
So you're just fostering right now.
I'm fostering, yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay.
My trigger word.
Yes, people, whenever I tell people that I volunteer and I'm foster, they're like, oh my God. And they have all these questions and we get off on this. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine.
So we fostered with Austin Pets Alive. They had a foster, and oh my God, because yeah, we loved it. I mean, they just, but you know, like you said, they have all sorts of dogs, and you know,
Yeah.
some of them really, you know, just trying to get them healthy so they can be adopted. All right. So, what's the best place you've ever lived?
The best place I've ever lived, I'm going to say is Panama City, Florida. That's where I went to middle school and high school. That's when my dad retired military. He was stationed there at that Air Force base there. But of course, it was the best of 2 worlds, a nice beach town, and it's just kind of a laid back town. It wasn't hustling, bustling, but you always had the beach right there, and you could go to the beach. And then of course we had an amusement park there, so I think that was the greatest place I lived.
If you had a gigantic billboard anywhere in the world and you could have a message that would go out to millions of people, what would that message be?
I think that message would be treat people how you want to be treated. Because I believe in being kind to people, being respectful of people, even if you're not getting that type of, that in return. I think it's very important that if you are, true to yourself, and you're showing respect and kindness, and being sympathetic to other people, that will bring you, a good aura, and people will see that in you. And maybe perhaps it would change people's thinking and their treatment of you. But I'm always a big proponent of you need to be the bigger person in this whole world, because we're all here for a purpose, for a reason and a purpose. And until we figure out what our purpose is, I think we need to all do the best that we possibly can, especially towards other people.
Well, since you just talked about one of my questions, what do you believe is your purpose?
I think my purpose, and I was having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and she couldn't understand how she's losing a lot of people in her life. And I think my purpose is to encourage people. While I am a Christian, I can't, recite Bible verses, and I can't preach to you, but I think I can give you enough where I can encourage you, and help you to see that, even in a situation where, you may be losing people, or in a situation where you just don't understand why these things are happening, there is a higher power that has a purpose. And once that purpose is fulfilled for that person that you love or that person you admire, when they're no longer here, that is because they have fulfilled their purpose. And so I think my purpose is to not only encourage, inspire, but also educate. And I take it very seriously in my job now. When I'm educating judges, I take that very seriously. And I try to encourage them that before you get in trouble, please ask me first. And they are so appreciative of that. And I think, in the years of kind of going through the motions and figuring out why I'm here and what's my purpose, I think I finally come to that realization that that is my purpose.
When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, how do you get back to center?
I have to take a minute, just kind of take a minute, walk around. Sometimes when I'm working from home, I'll go out on the patio and just enjoy something, cool to drink. Look at the sky, because sometimes the clouds are very calming. But I have to take a step back. And, while I love this job, it is very stressful. And so I do things, to take care of myself. I practice self-care. And you just have to center yourself. And however way you can do that, by either stepping back, taking a walk, talking to a friend, picking up a book, taking your mind off of what is going on at that time. I think that's something that, should be done. And that's some of the things that I do when it gets a little bit too stressful. And then, of course, I play with my dog. So.
Always. What's an unusual habit or absurd thing that you love?
A habit or absurd thing that I love. That's a
And
good
remembering everything is relative also. Yeah.
Oh gosh. What do I love? It's just so.
I had a few of the ones that I've had have been someone's addicted to gummy bears.
Yes, those are good.
Another one is he likes anime. I think that's like this cartoon kids. I don't even know what it is, but they're techies.
Well, I do have to say, one of the things that I love actually, is to watch old TV shows. So every night, and I hate that I'm saying this, but every night I do catch a few episodes of Murder, She Wrote, and I watch that. Every now and then on, I can't remember what channel it is, but Hogan's Heroes, I love that. One of the channels now has Andy Griffith on it, Mannix, Beverly Hillbillies. That I love all those things. And, people laugh at me when they know that I'm watching this stuff. But, I equate all this stuff back to my childhood. And it's something that, my mom and I enjoyed watching. And so I kind of feel like she's there with me when I'm watching these things. But I enjoy those old shows before I will watch any new show that's on TV now.
In the last 5 years or so, what new belief or behavior or habit has improved your life?
I think over the last 5 years, one of the behaviors that I've taken on is doing stuff for me and not having to, because I'm one of those people that I try to do for other people, and I try to do for other people, and I miss out on myself. And so I've been trying to do more for myself, whether, it's get a massage or get a facial. I try to do those things, but I also, I call my sister every Saturday. We don't live in the same town, but I said, what, I got to be the bigger person here. She's younger. And I call my sister every Saturday. And again, I just try to be, I try to treat people well. I try to meet them where they are and just treat them well, and try not to be judgmental towards people, because that's not fair to them. And it wouldn't be fair to me if they did the same thing.
Over the last few years, how have you become better at saying no, and to what types of things?
I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. I think that when the stress level gets high, and I realize that stress level is getting high, that kicks in my instincts where I'm going to have to say no. And when it starts to affect my health or my well-being, whether physically or mentally, that is when I've learned to say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And so, but I'm still working on that. I'm a work in progress, because again, I try to, accommodate everyone, but I just can't take on that extra stress if it's not necessary.
What purchase of $100 or less has positively impacted your life over the last 6 months or your recent
In the
memory?
last 6 months, I hate to say this, but fragrance. I have in the pandemic, my newest habit has become investing in niche fragrances. And so many of those are over $100, upward of $400. So I have and I think that it's helped me. I started watching this young lady on YouTube who reviews these fragrances, and she always says, I can only give you what it gives to me. And she talks about how these fragrances make her happy, the ones that she likes. And at first you think that sounds a little bit weird, but actually when I started buying these fragrances and being in the house, I would spray some on in the morning when I'm going to the computer, and smelling yourself every now and then, it did make you happy. It gave you, like this positive vibe. And so I think that is one of the things that I have purchased that is, brought a little sunshine to my life during this very negative time that we have right now.
Okay, that was actually another question, which was the best or worthwhile investment. Would you say that's okay? So tell me something that's less than $100 that's positively impacted your life.
I have started this practice now, and it's been going on for maybe about 5 months. I started this practice now of every Friday going and buying myself a bouquet of flowers. And I take my flowers and I put them in a nice vase, and I sit them on my nightstand, and I look at them every night before I go to bed and every day during the weekend, and it just makes me smile.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
It really does. I love it too. How has failure or apparent failure set you up for later success?
It has caused me to be determined and not to get discouraged and lose my way. There have been, several failures, and one of which was before I got to this position. But I think with prayer, faith, staying the course, and again, trying to be positive, trying to find the positive in the negative, and learning from mistakes. If you make a mistake, there's always a lesson there. And I think that we kind of get off track because we're still wallowing in the loss or the failure when you're not trying to see the positive out of it. And so I had to look at those things, and I had to look inward at myself as well. But I think that all of those failures caused me to get to this position. And it also caused me to be the type of leader and supervisor that I am, because I've been through things where I've seen, supervisors who I don't want to be. And so it showed me the type of supervisor that I needed to be, and that the people that work for me appreciate that. And so, again, at the time when you're going through that failure, you don't really realize those things. You're just kind of upset because you failed. But I think that if you do some introspective, you will see that there is some lesson in that failure. And once you realize that, or even when you come out on the other side, you can then look back on those failures and say, I see what happened there.
Do you have kids?
I do not. I have fur babies.
That's probably better. Um, what do you think people will say about you once you're gone?
I don't know what they will say, but I know that I would like them to think of me as someone who was, I think I would like somebody to think of me as a nice person, a diligent person, someone who was fair and compassionate, and had a passion for everything that I did.
What life lessons have you learned?
That you're gonna always, always, always fail. You're gonna fail. You're gonna have some ups, you're gonna have some downs, but you can't let that deter you. You can't let it sidetrack you. If something comes up against you, you just kind of bob and weave, but you keep going. And at some point you will realize the benefit, whether or not it's something that you wanted or something that a higher power has for you. I think that it will all work out for the best.
What are you most proud of?
That's a good question. I think I'm most proud of the fact that I'm stronger than I thought I was. And, again, I go back to my parents, losing two parents within 6 months of each other, that's your whole world. And you expect that you're just going to crumble. And then after that, you have that feeling of loneliness where you think there is no one else in the world for me. But I think that, I have more strength in me than I thought I did. And whenever, someone comes to me and they tell me they don't feel strong, or they feel like they're just going to lose it, I try to encourage them and tell them, you got a lot of strength and you just have to tap into it. And I'm proud that I have, held on to my faith, held on and just kind of perpetuated that strength in the time that I needed it, but held it back when I needed to, because I don't want to come off as that, angry Black woman. And I just want to be seen as a woman, but a strong woman. And I think that I'm proud that I've been able to tap into that.
Who's your favorite person?
I think my favorite person was my mom. Like anybody, that's the person that you first love in life, and that's and to some people that's their only love in life, and that was my favorite person. That was my best friend. But I've learned also to like myself, to love myself, and that's hard for a lot of people, because we do have failures, we do have insecurities. But someone once said, if you could just find one thing about yourself you like, maybe it'd be your smile, your eyes, your ears, or whatever. That's the thing that you need to concentrate on. And so, I always laugh because I have bad knees, and I said that's what my mom left me, right? But that was my favorite person. So the bad knees, the graying hair that I get every month, I'm fine with it, because it's a reminder of the person that I love the most.
What's a favorite book or a book you recommend?
I think my favorite book, and I didn't know anything about this book until I went through a leadership program, and it's called Emotional Intelligence 3.0. And I read self-help books. I read those types of books. I primarily read fiction, but this book was a nonfiction book, and it was required reading for this course. And I read it, and it's a very easy read. It's very quick read, but it helps you to understand the type of person you are, first of all, and the type of leader you will be, and what skills you need to be a more effective leader. Because there's more things such as, how you project yourself, but also, whether or not you have self-awareness, and whether or not you're aware of other people's feelings, and how all of those things come together to shape what type of leader you're going to be, or shape the type of person you're going to be. So I think that's my favorite book, because I've read it once, but I've picked it up and I've read it 2 or 3 more times. And it also has a little test in there too, that you can take, and it will give you your scores, and it will tell you what things you need to work on and what things you're fine in. So I think that's one of my most favorite books.
What do you enjoy doing in your leisure time?
Traveling. I like to travel. I like to read. I like to play with the dogs. I also I like to kind of build things if that makes sense. I recently bought a bench, one of those benches you put in your foyer, and it came in a big box. And I like to take all the pieces out and the nails and all that other stuff and get your instructions. And I like to put it together. And I think I'm a very, very good handyman when it comes to that. Anything in the house, anything else in the house I can't do, but I like to put things together.
This is the last question. What does it mean to you to be chosen as one of our top 10?
It is absolutely amazing. It is such an honor. I was just left speechless. And I just think it is very, it's great. And I can't say thank you enough for that. I do know that it comes with big responsibility. And I hope to continue to, be that super lawyer, be that person who will receive this wonderful acknowledgement. And I'm very humbled by this, and I don't know what else to say. My staff was telling me you should be bouncing off the walls, and I'm like, I am internally, but I don't. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with this, and I want to continue to be that positive image in the community, because if some little Black girl sees me on the cover of the magazine or in the advertisement, and they say, oh, I want to do what she does, I want that to happen. And I'm just so honored, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Well, that was the last question. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Again, I wish and I would say my mom, like, my dad is irrelevant. No, he's relevant. I was just closer with my mom.
Most people say mom, though.
Yeah, but I wish my parents were here to see this, and I know my mom would just be boohoo crying. I know she would. And so, but I did share it with my sister. I'm getting all the love from my staff. I'm also getting the love from my sorority sisters, and I'm just very happy. It hit me yesterday as I was driving home from work, and I'm like, wow, me? But I just try to do the best I can with what I have and what time I have left on this earth. And I just want to be a beacon of positive light, be fair, and be compassionate towards others.